If you run a marketing agency or you're thinking about starting one, AI is going to affect you whether you like it or not. Not because people, suddenly stop needing marketing, but it's because the hardest part of marketing is no longer creating the things. Writing ad copy is easier, building landing pages is easier, research is easier, even coding and design have become so much more accessible to the average person with the use of AI. And because of this, the entire landscape of marketing agencies is changing. So in this video, we're going to talk about what AI is actually doing to the world of agencies right now, how it changes service delivery, how it changes your team structure, why it is easier than ever to start, and what's actually become valuable in a market where execution is commoditized. If you guys want more clients, more sales, and marketing that actually works, you should subscribe because that's what all my videos are built to help you do. So the first point that I need to make sure that you understand is that AI commoditizes execution. And now what it seems like today is that a lot of people think that AI replaces the actual knowledge that it takes to be a good marketer. But there's a different way that I need you to understand this. So what it really does is it compresses the time that it takes to execute the actual assets to do marketing. So say, for example, a task, let's say starting an ad campaign, with all the research and whatnot before you actually begin it. That used to take, several specialists, maybe a search manager or an advertising manager, 8 hours plus, and of course, all of those people. You can now do all of that in a fraction of the time. You can generate variations for the ads, email sequences, landing page wireframes, even some platforms let you generate the entire website itself. Automations, reporting summaries, competitor research. You can do all of that in minutes with the right prompts and of course the right prerequisite knowledge, of which I'll get into in a second. And because of this, the value of just producing those things is going down because everybody can produce the thing, but not everybody can produce a good version of the thing. So, a few years ago, if you could build a website or write a direct response sales letter, that was really valuable to businesses and it was enough to differentiate you. Now, all of those things are readily accessible to the average business owner and the average marketer. But the problem is that a lot of people that are in this sphere treat that as something that it's not. So they think, okay, marketing's really easy now. But the difficult part of being a marketer was never really, typing words or pasting photos onto, WordPress. The hard part was always understanding your customer psychology, understanding the correct positioning that you need, what angles convert in what markets, understanding the economics of your business model, understanding how the different systems and people inside of the company connect to each other to be cohesive. Now, of course, AI can help you with all of those things, but the quality of the output is dependent on the quality of the creator. So someone who has a lot of marketing experience and has that fundamental knowledge can use AI to dramatically increase their leverage and become, a mini operator inside of their business if they're an employee, or become a much better business owner. And someone who doesn't have any of that foundational understanding is just going to produce or maybe even garbage work a little bit faster. Now, who do I think is going to win in the coming years? I would say the answer to that is lean agencies. Now, like we just said, one of the biggest impacts AI is having is operational. Small teams can produce output levels that used to require these massive multi-million-dollar companies with 10-person pods per client. That changes so much of the economics and just the actual everyday running of the business. Hiring, overhead costs, fulfillment speed, margins, and you're starting to see a lot of situations where these 2 to 3 person teams or pods or whatever, or entire companies can outperform 10-person teams. With good SOPs, of course, becoming so much more important, you also have these junior production tasks that are becoming partially or fully automated, and turnaround times are shrinking very significantly, even for these engagements with very complex businesses. A lot of workflows inside of marketing agencies look a lot different than they did, let's say, 2 years ago. For example, say a campaign launch used to require, tons of manual research, manual drafting of the copy, reporting setup, custom onboarding documentation per client. Now, a lot of those systems can be assisted or accelerated with AI. So they're not, again, being fully replaced, but they're being assisted. Because obviously these agencies still need good leadership, quality control, strategic direction, communication, accountability, all those good things. The AI is not running the business, it's just giving the experienced agency owners a massive advantage over everybody else. So if you already understand, or you have, like we said, that really good foundational knowledge of positioning, sales, funnel structure, advertising psychology, AI will absolutely help you nuke your operating costs, decrease your turnaround times, and give you so much of your time back. On another note, something that AI is also doing to the marketing agency world is that it's helping a lot of people launch tons of new businesses. Now, like we've just talked about, AI has dramatically lowered the barrier to entry for starting a business. The startup costs are lower. You can have ChatGPT build your entire website for like $20. And the bare minimum skill acquisition is so much easier. Someone nowadays can just go ask ChatGPT, how do I learn cold email? How do I learn Google Ads? How do I build automations? And it will either just do it all for you, or you can just ask it to dumb things down for you and explain it to you like you have no knowledge, explain it to you in the simplest possible way for you to digest the information. It used to require you to read tons of different books, potentially even go to college to get a degree to learn these things. You will get solid baseline guidance from AI relatively instantly, right? Even the technical barriers are much lower than they used to be. You can now build websites, reporting systems, CRM workflows, automations, because these platforms know the other platforms, because they're digesting information, from all these different articles talking about, let's say, Monday, HubSpot, and whatnot. So ChatGPT can tell you what to do inside of HubSpot. ChatGPT can tell you what to do inside of Google Ads, right? And you need zero technical expertise to do any of this. So naturally, you have tons of newcomers entering the market, but these newcomers probably don't have any fundamental knowledge, like we keep mentioning. So nowadays, the market is really noisy. You have a lot of agencies that are offering the same things. You have a lot more freelancers. You have a lot more templated outreach. You have a lot more generic offers, which makes differentiation, something I talk a lot about on this channel, even more important. When everyone suddenly has access to relatively similar production capabilities, using AI, businesses have more or less stopped evaluating the marketing agency based purely on whether they can do the thing, because they just assume that you can probably do it. Especially if you're a younger guy, they're going to assume, oh, he's a techie, he understands, all that Google Ads stuff, and they need you to explain to them, why they should trust you to grow their business, right? And that changes, of course, the core things that these people value. So what do these business owners actually value right now? As production becomes commoditized, like we talked about, value moves up the chain. So clients care much less about who is generating them the marketing asset, whether that be an email sequence, a landing page, whatever, and they care much more about whether their business grows, whether the leads convert, whether their systems actually work cohesively and reliably. Now you might say, oh duh, of course they care about the results. But if you think back, 10 to 15 years ago, this is a massive change. A decade ago, you could sell Google Ads to hundreds of businesses a year as your core offer with a very vague promise, no guarantees, and very little social proof. And that'd be really easy for you to grow an amazing company doing just that. The future value of agencies is much less tied to producing these marketing assets, much more tied to your ability to think strategically, understand sales psychology, positioning, systems development, proper leadership, and helping your clients implement new strategies. Taste and judgment are also much more important. So in the current landscape of things, the marketing tools themselves are rarely the competitive advantage per se. So for example, imagine two agencies that are both working with plumbing companies. Both of them are using AI, their specialists are trained with it, they have a lot of experience with it. They're generating Google Ads copy really fast, they can automate lead follow-up, they can both build landing pages, all really good. But one of the agencies, they much more deeply understand consumer psychology and how these homeowners are actually searching for the emergency plumbing services. They understand what nuanced language works in the ads, what trust signals actually convert, what objections the customers have before they get on the phone, how seasonality affects the economics of the business, and what offers historically drive booked jobs instead of just inquiries. And they can prompt the AI accordingly to get better answers. The other agencies mostly relying on, generic prompts. Help me set up an ad campaign for a company in California that sells plumbing, right? Now, this agency is absolutely going to get something baseline usable, but it won't be nearly as good as the first one. I would say they'd be in totally different leagues. The clients of tomorrow are going to flock to the agencies that can generate fast, tangible results for all of the different arms of the business. So what happens if you decide to opt out of all of this? Now, simple truth, the market is becoming much more competitive. Any agency that is AI enabled can fulfill faster, they can operate with lower overhead costs, they can produce more things, and sometimes they can undercut pricing very, very significantly. 5 years ago, an agency, you might have needed a content writer, an SEO specialist, a web developer, a project manager, just to manage, 10 to 20 clients relatively effectively. Now, a much smaller team than that can use AI systems to generate first drafts of the service pages, summarize rank data, automate onboarding, organize link building outreach, speed up website troubleshooting. And at the same time, agencies that are already working with, let's say, multi-million, multi-billion dollar companies can finish all of that work that they're doing much faster and with better systems and workflows. In neither of the above cases was there any need to hire more people. So if you're an agency that's, let's say, in the middle, you're stuck and you're just going to get squeezed. The low end of the market is going to be much cheaper and automated, and the high end of the market is so operationally advanced that you can no longer compete with them. So especially this is for companies whose value proposition is like, we do the task, right? Like we had just mentioned earlier. Because now your clients expect not just execution of the marketing facet, but reporting, communication, systems, integrations, optimization, all together really fast. And to top all of this off, if it didn't sound bad enough, your average client has much more, let's call it baseline knowledge. They're just going to ask AI before they get on your sales call, how do I get more customers? And let's say they get a layman's explanation of what Google Ads is. They're going to come to you with the only question being, I want proof and a plan that your company's Google Ads can make me money. So you used to be able to sell a client on the completion of the service, but now you have to sell them on you and your company's skills and unique approach to the service. To make a long story short, guys, AI is not killing marketing agencies, but it is rapidly compressing the value of execution. The agencies that are going to struggle over the next few years are going to be the ones that rely almost entirely on manual production and don't change their positioning at all. And the ones that are successful are going to combine AI leverage, operational systems, and good training and understanding of the fundamentals of marketing psychology. This video helped you guys understand where marketing is heading. You should leave a like and subscribe and comment below how AI is affecting your agency.